Greetings from Colorado Springs. This time around I want to talk about knees. Before I get into this main subject, I want to just point out, no, you can't learn taijutsu from videos. You usually only get about 70 or 80% of what you see when you go to an instructor. You have to have the instructor point out the 20% or 30% that you missed. Okay? What I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to give you things to look for. Once you know to look for something, then you can see it easier, and then you can start doing it. Also, if what your instructor is doing is different from what I'm doing, you might want to start looking at videos of the Japanese Shihan and the boss in Japan to see if what I'm saying is closer to what the Shihan are doing rather than your instructor. So, having said that, I'm going to talk about the knees. Now, one of the problems with taijutsu is that everyone comes in from other styles and they have their old habits. The way we use our knees is very important for the way we do things. If you're dealing with Chinese styles, you're probably going to use your knees differently. Okay? So, first of all, the knee, when you are going forward, the knee should go over the toes. Very simple. Okay. Now, again, I mentioned Chinese arts. They'll be here like this. The advantage of this is that if you try to throw a kick at them, at the little danglies, they're a lot better able to do it. But they generate power differently than we do. There are different ways of hitting. There's like 7 different things you can be trying to do when you hit someone. You can be trying to do damage like a whip, you can be trying to displace them, etc., etc., etc. We do things differently from Chinese styles, obviously. What they're trying to do with a hit is differently from what we're trying to do with a hit. We're trying to deal with heavy clothing or armor and the possibility of weapons. The strategies that we came up is a little bit different than other arts. And the way we hit, the knee goes over the toes. Now if you just stand here and you kind of like see how things go, you tend to be a little bit off, not quite over the toes as a natural habit. That's what most of us. So when you think you are putting your toes, your knee over your toes, you probably are not. This is why you need a teacher to come along and say, no, until you start doing it. I had an instructor in America before I went to Japan. Went to Japan, proved that I wasn't an asshole, that I wasn't going out and just immediately turning around and teaching this stuff. They started showing me that my knees were wrong. And they also pointed out that some of the guys that started at the beginning in America, in the Bunjinkan, now cannot get in Seiza, the sitting position, because their knees are so messed up. And they said that the reason is that when they do things, their knees are not over their toes. It's not going to cause you damage if you do it once, twice. You know, if you do a session, it's not going to be like you're going to be damaged after the class. But you do it over a series of decades, yes, you are going to have problems. Now another thing with the knees is that some people in the Bunjinkan say that the knee never goes past the toe. They're wrong. Okay? If you have any problems with that, go to a Japanese and ask them. I'm going to try to put in a picture, but I've got a picture of my teacher in Japan, Oguri Sensei. And you can definitely see he's there and his toe is definitely behind his knee as he's doing the punch. Now, the reasons for this is outside this little video that I'm doing, but trust me, if you combine really sending your knee out there and being a little bit off over your toes, yes, over a period of decades, you will have messed up knees. So don't do it. Another thing about knees is that, again, Oguri Sensei was always saying, get down low. You know, some people, this is easier to practice like this, up here. If you practice like this, kind of builds up the muscles, also makes it hard to move, so that when you move normally, it's easier. And it's real advantages that really shows when you get low how you're using your body. It's a little more difficult to see what you're doing, you know, internalize it when you're up like this. Also, don't expect to actually fight low. If you train like this, you're just naturally going to fight somewhat higher. There's a possibility that if you train like this, then you're going to be even a little higher. Now, we asked Sensei about this, and he said, well, Hatsumi Sensei doesn't do this, and he goes, well, Hatsumi Sensei doesn't have to. But if you look at the early pictures of his training, he got the habits into him by getting low, bending his knees low. Okay? So that's what you should be doing in training, unless you're as good as Hatsumi Sensei. And I know there are a few people out there that think they are. But that's it. Knees. That's how you use your knees. Start looking for it. See that what I'm saying is what the Japanese are doing. And if your instructor is doing it, now you know to look for it. That's all.